Alrighty, welcome everyone to this year's Students Association Presidential and Vice Presidential debate here. My name is Sam Smith. I'm the Chief Justice of the All-Campus Judicial Council. That's the judicial branch of student government, for those of you who don't know.
And my name is Matt Burns, and I'm the Dean of Students. So tonight, let me go over a few things about the format. We will begin with each ticket having 2 minutes for an opening statement. We'll do a random drawing in just a minute to determine that order. Then there will be a round of questions where some are for the presidential candidates, some are for the vice presidential candidates, and some will be for each ticket where one or both of the candidates in the ticket can choose to respond. Responses are limited to up to 2 minutes. Some of the questions during the round were submitted by students prior to the debate. We have a predetermined rotation for the order in which the questions are answered. Then there will be a few questions from the audience. If you have a question that you would like to ask during this time, there are index cards available at the front and at the back of the rows. Feel free to pick up an index card anytime you need to use one. And when you have your question written down, please bring them up to the front and give them to Garrett, who's going to be introduced in just a minute. We'll end, just a note, we probably will not be able to get to all of the questions from the audience tonight, probably just a couple, because we have more candidates this year, more tickets than we ever have before, to my knowledge. We'll end the debate with a rapid fire round where each candidate will have up to 15 seconds to respond, and we will rotate who goes first during that round. After the debate, there will be refreshments in the lobby, and we hope you will stay and continue to interact with candidates tonight.
Before I introduce our candidates here, there's one other person I want to introduce and thank. We've got Garrett Briggs up front here. So we're very appreciative of him. He'll be our time. So without further ado, we'll introduce the student candidates. To my far left, I have Abhinav Singh and Matt Cosentino. Then next to me here, I have Sage Arnold and Finn Abbey. Next to Dean Burns, I have Boris Sorokin and Isabel Elstein. And then all the way on the end, we have Adrija Babacharji and Sibylla Moore. Unfortunately, we have one more ticket that was not able to be here tonight. They are Cole Senecal and Michael Harvey. So to begin, we're going to do a random drawing to determine the order of our opening statements here. We have 4 tickets in this bag, and we will draw them out one at a time. May the odds be ever in your favor, candidates. First up, we're going to have Adrija and Sibylla.
Hi everyone, my name is Adrija Babacharji. I'm a sophomore, double majoring in political science and bioethics.
And my name is Sibylla Moore. I'm also a current sophomore, majoring in public health with minors in environmental humanities and biology.
Just really quickly, I currently serve as one of your senators, the Minority Student Affairs Liaison, and the president of the Asian American Alliance.
And I'm currently the 2024 class council president, an RA in Hillcourt, an SAA, and I'm on the campus life committee for Lower Services. So I want to start off by saying we could sit here, talk to you guys about all the things we've done, all the things we've tried to do on this campus, all the things we're currently still trying to work on doing through our respective roles. We could talk about people we've met, people we've worked with. We'd rather just hopefully show you guys throughout the debate what we can do and what we plan on doing, rather than sit here and talk about it.
At the end of today, though, when you're thinking about who to vote for, or even just SA in general, I want you to ask yourself, who would I want to advocate for me? Who would I want directly sitting in front of the most important members of administration, representing my place here as a student? Who, out of all the candidates in this presidential election, will say what needs to be said and say it well? For all the platforms that you hear today, and in the days following up to voting, Make note of the substance in the platforms that you hear today, and ask yourself, will a vote for this person make this campus a bit better, or will it make it worse? Thank you all for your time, and we look forward to this.
We have Sage and Fib.
Thank you all for being here tonight. I mean, it's absolutely packed. You can't see a single empty chair in the entire place, so I appreciate it. I respect all the other candidates here. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad that you guys are running no-nonsense, straight-laced campaigns. The people deserve an alternative. The people deserve an all-nonsense, shoelaces tied together kind of campaign. And we are here to deliver that. And I'm not going to blab it up anymore. I'm going to give it right to Sage. Please, everyone, Sage.
The specter is haunting the University of Rochester. The specter of communism. All the powers of the university have entered into a holy alliance to exorcise this specter. That is, public safety and business department, college Republicans, and college Democrats. The philosopher Gilles Deleuze once said, history is made only by those who oppose history, not by those who insert themselves into it, or even reshape it. Finn and I hope to do exactly this. As your president and vice president, we seek to go bravely where no others have gone before, to bring something incomprehensible into the world. In launching our campaign, we declare war on all those reactionary paper timers which haunt the prospect of a better future. Our campaign is an open conflict with the tyrannical symbolic order of the University of Rochester. We're an affront to the alleged rationality which has plagued student life. For this reason, we propose the following goals for our time in office. Nationalize Hillside and run it at an operational cost for public benefit. Sell lighters at Hillside again. Wage a protracted revolutionary conflict against the current regime. Annex RIT and make their buildings less ugly. End all foreign conflicts. Decriminalize sex in the library and designate a floor in the stacks for this purpose. Abolish the business department and offer former members retraining in the humanities departments. Create a workforce of incoming freshmen to expand the tunnel system. Change our school anthem to Vamp Anthem by Playboy Cardi. Finally, trans rights.
Time.
So next up we have Abhinav Matt.
Hello, my name is Abhinav Singh. I'm a computer science major. My pronouns are he and him. And I've been a proud member of the Yellow Jackets community for the last 3 years. And I've learned and grown a lot over those past 3 years. And my deep ties with our community has been a big part of that development. I cherish my time with the community where I build deep connections. And I gain a great sense of gratitude with an appreciation of how we can further strengthen our community. I've had the first-hand experience of a lot of events that define the unique depth and diversity of our student body, such as attending extremely talented performances by student groups, cheering on the women's softball team during a close game, and interacting with members of our community through cultural gatherings and being an active part of a variety of organizations. From a community that has helped Matt and I feel like it is From a community that has helped provide Matt and I a feeling of belonging and a place to call home, Matthew and I have felt that it is our duty to represent and help better serve our community and make it ever stronger.
Hi, my name is Matt Cosentino, and I'm a junior biomedical engineering major, and my pronouns are he, him. First of all, thank you all for coming out and allowing us to be here today. Over these past 3 years at this university, I've grown to love this community, this campus, and its people. I've been a very active member in this community as well, being a part of varsity sports, Greek life, and various clubs. And I've gained a lot of really valuable experiences throughout all of these that I hope to apply and share in this position going forward. I understand the value of all students in this university and that everyone is unique, and I want to be accepting to everyone and all of their opinions and beliefs. Together, we can make this university a truly better place, and I look forward to the future we can forge together. Thank you.
I was just about to make a joke that I think there is no need to pull out the paper.
All right. Well, hello everyone. So to start with, some of you know my name is Boris Sorokin. I'm a junior and health policy major, part of a class of 2023.
My name is Isabel Edelstein. I'm a biochemistry major, part of the class of 2025, and I'm running for vice president.
So, speaking of our platform, which we could spend much time doing that, I just want to summarize it and say that mostly we'll be focusing on democratization of student government, as well as bettering the student day-to-day lives.
We will also continue and better relishing in our campus diversity, and we will also increase resources for first-generation Americans.
Yes, I think that it's also important to emphasize that we are actually, in my opinion, we represent, it's not my opinion, we represent 2 class years. The juniors and freshmen right here, so I think the first years right here, so I'm very excited about that too.
Just to extend upon resources for first-gen Americans, I'm personally a first-generation American, and I felt a deep disconnect with the financial aid system, any scholarships that I thought that I might be able to get, but I just wasn't sure. In all honesty, I did the FAFSA with my cousin, okay? So, I mean, we need to close that gap between first-generation Americans and...
Absolutely, totally agree with Isabel about that, and we worked a lot on that policy. I would say that this election presents you a choice. It gives you the power to choose the people who will be leading you in the year to come. And we, Boris Sorokin and Isabel Edelstein, vow to unconditionally lead with the best interest of the University of Rochester community at heart, as the President and Vice President. Reparation through representation. That's it.
Thank you, Boris. Thank you, Isabel. Thank you all of the candidates for your opening statement. We're going to move into the next section, and this section is provides questions for presidential, vice presidential, and team candidates. And the first question is for all presidential candidates. So, presidential candidates, this is the question you are each going to be answering, and I'll call you up one at a time in a predetermined order. Your question is, what is the top current issue facing the student body, and how should it be addressed by the student government? And this question, we're going to kick it off with Sage.
Finn and I believe the most important issue facing our campus today is the price gouging at Hillside. Let's be honest. The university's work with RMARC is despicable. RMARC is the literal devil. You've not heard they cause absolutely aberrant effects on everyone's lives, overall. For instance, this is legitimately true. RMARC has caused a disease outbreak. Disease outbreak which has claimed lives in Ontario. That's not something to know. But aside from that, Hillside price gouging is inappropriate. As Senate candidate Esther Kruger noted in their article, Why You Should Steal from Hillside Market, which I highly recommend reading. Price gouging at Hillside is absolutely terrible. It should not cost what it costs for me to get a reasonable dinner from Hillside whenever there's not adequate options for vegetarians, for people with other dietary restrictions, with allergies, whenever the dining halls do not serve them. For this reason, if Hillside does not lower prices, one, the Arnold Abbey campaign, would like to nationalize Hillside. And, because we do not believe any private entities should have any control over our basic necessities of life. And if not nationalizing Hillside, we support stealing from Hillside. No. Don't steal. That's all I got to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sage. And up next we have Adrian.
Okay,
Okay, really quickly, it's really hard to come after Sage's thing on Hillside, I completely agree. But as someone that has served in your student government for the past 2 years, that has continuously advocated for students, especially people of color on this campus, the biggest issue is the administration, the bureaucracy on this campus, both in SA, but more importantly in administration. As someone that has sat in countless meetings with members of the administration, constantly trying to advocate for you, advocate for me. Also, being a woman of color, a first-generation Bangladeshi American student on this campus, I have suffered so much at the hands of people that just don't understand our struggles as students and just don't choose to listen. So I think going forward, if I am to be elected your president, there will not be a day where I do not sit in a meeting and I am as passionately advocating for your interests, even if I don't look like you, even if I'm not in the same group as you, even if you don't like me, I will still be passionately advocating for you, even if it was my own, even if it was my own issue, because that is the most important problem. Administration needs to know the problems on this campus. The structures always come second, students come first.
Thank you, Rita. Abhinav.
The University of Rochester is a hard place. I mean, Blackboard is always loading with new notifications for another new assignment. And so I think as students, we've all felt the immense pressure of being a university student right now as an undergraduate. My administration wants to prioritize and focus on support and resources for mental health advocacy. This university has already a lot of great programs that advocate for mental health, and it is our job to help expand on those programs, see what works and doesn't work about already existing programs, and help develop it into a real tool that students can use to help better understand and get a cope with life, and also deal with mental problems. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhinav. And sorry, boys, if you'll ask me, it won't be on my mom.
I'll do this attention first. All right, so a few things answering the question. With all my respect to the organizers of the debate, I think that asking which one issue is the most important is irrelevant. Yes, I'm sorry, but we are currently facing so many issues. Again, I was sitting on multiple committees in student government. I was doing lots of work there and outside of student government, even before I came there, and saying that there is one issue which is the most pressing one, I think it's just irrelevant. It's inappropriate to even ask that question, again, with all my out of respect to the organizers. But if I were to still choose one, which I would definitely try not doing, I would still say that it is coming back to normal, because right now, this semester, just keep in mind, this semester is the first one in the last 2 years when we are allowed to just walk inside the buildings without a mask, and almost all restrictions are gone. And it would be definitely a priority of my presidential administration, of my and Isabel's administration, to make sure that we have, especially with parties, we have safe transition back to normal. The normal that most of us don't even remember anymore. This will be the biggest priority. But again, I don't want to say I just said the biggest, but I don't think the biggest, because it's one of the biggest, but I would honestly just not be able to identify the biggest. That's so many issues we have right now. I would also work with administration to make sure that the message is clear. We no longer want all the administration bureaucracy. Is detrimental. When we ask them for some issue, when we ask them to resolve some issue, what do we hear? They're forming a new committee. And once that committee the time of that committee is up, it makes a report, and by the end of that report, a new committee is formed. Again, sorry if there is any coincidence with the reality, I'm just giving a random example. So this will be priorities, prioritizing the work on the admin, making sure that they are removing bureaucracy, and that as students we are normally coming to back to normal as we should. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you all for your responses to that question. This next one is for the vice presidential candidates. Again, we have 2 minutes here. So, student government should be a voice for all students on campus. How would you ensure that you are seeking feedback from the student body before making your decisions? We'll start with Seville for this one.
Hi everybody. Okay, so as you can tell, obviously I can't really super represent every single person on this campus. So what I look like, you've heard the activities I do, but I think the thing that me and Adrisha talked about prioritizing is one, we just hosted a lot more town halls this year than I think we ever have. We had the one that got moved, but then we opened up an opportunity to have students gather and talk about what was going on in Ukraine. So we want to keep expanding that as part of our platform. We want to kind of incorporate more town halls going forward so we can get students to come with the issues they see that we're not addressing, that we are addressing, but maybe not in the ways you want to see. In addition, we want to, I know we're like surveys, and that puts more of the burden on you guys to come to us. We want to be the ones coming to you to hear the issues you want us to address or address better. So we want to actively prioritize looking at like what activities you have going on, what events are you hosting that we can come to and come learn about things you care about. I think we haven't done a good enough job in the last year as someone who's been in SA with reaching out to students to hear what you guys care about. And those are two of our main strategies of how we would like to try and fix that, because I know there's kind of a disconnect right now for a lot of students. When you look at SA, you see maybe not a lot happening or as much as you want to see happening. And that's something we want to be really proactive about and reach out to you guys so we can continue changing that, not just for hopefully our presidency, but for the future going forward.
I want to remind everyone that we have index cards if you would like to submit a audience question. I believe they're on the front here and at the back on the railings. Up next we have Matt.
Hi, so for this question, obviously, so me and Adam, neither of us have ever been a part of SA, and the big reason why we're running is because we're coming from a student perspective, and we want to give all of you guys the opportunity to voice to us. We understand, like, from our experiences from the outside, we haven't been able to communicate very well or had great opportunities to. So coming into this position, we want to make sure that all of your guys' voices are heard, keeping open lines of communication with all of us, as well as different organizations, making sure all people are heard, from Greek Life Sports, any other club or organization, whatever you guys want, we're here for you. And that's all we got.
Let's go! Yeah!
I'd like to start off by saying that one of our main pillars in Horace and I's campaign is to increase transparency within student government. And that means that we will be telling you everything that is going on, and you will have access to everything that is happening, and you will be able to tell us what we're doing wrong, right? It is also super important to point out, as Horace mentioned beforehand, that we are the only ticket this year that represents two different class years. I am a rising sophomore with connections to rising freshmen, and Horace is a rising senior with connections to rising juniors. We are the only ticket that is able to represent both the upperclassmen and the lowerclassmen of the university, and through that we will be able to advocate for those classes appropriately. Lastly, we represent two vastly different parts of the university. I am a part of the debate team. We cover a lot of the humanities and really a bunch of stuff that goes on the humanities side of things. I'm also a biochemistry major, as I mentioned beforehand. I'm actively part of the STEM community. Boris, on the other hand, is a health policy major that makes sure that he's super involved in the social sciences aspect. We cover a lot of the school, not just by age, by class, but also by what we study and who we interact with. Thank you.
Last but not least, we have Finn.
I think we've heard a lot of good ideas about how to boost student engagement, but I have kind of a unique one, so call me on this. Imagine it's the night before a big decision is going on in SA, and it's a nice, cool, breezy night, and you're sleeping softly, and then you hear at your window. It's me, I'm throwing pebbles at your window. I'm standing outside, I'm holding a boombox over my shoulders, I'm playing love songs. I'm here to talk to you about the issues. That is the way that I want to lead. And I want to say one additional thing about student engagement. My very lovely friends are here. I love you all dearly. These people are not normally engaged students when it comes to student government. I think our campaign is a testament to our ability to bring in people who are normally left out of the process. And that comes through our unconventional tactics. like boomboxes, and little pebble throwing, and the various romance cliches of the 1980s. Thank you.
My turn. We go for another presidential candidate's question. Are you ready? I am going to ask, there's another question that came in before the debate. And your question is, what is your vision for the relationship between student government and the administration? And Abhinav.
So I've had an opportunity to hold a vast variety of leadership roles at this university. So I've worked with campus leaders to figure out areas that require the most amount of work and the areas that we can help better partner our university leaders with their university administration. So as part of my platform, I really want to focus on working with our campus group leaders and really developing connections and developing the pipeline so we can proactively reach out and see what our fellow students and clubs need and what would help them help better operate their fraternity and organization. Thank you.
And Boris.
All right, thank you, Mr. Burns. So, few things. Answering this question is actually a complicated one. And I would like to say that firstly and foremost, we should, as students, I think, come from the understanding that administration is very complex. There are many different parts of it. There's rules and constitutes activities. There are other parts. There's the faculty senate. There's the provost. There's a few deans, including Burns, who's moderating this debate. I think that, speaking of the vision of having firstly, we should have a dialogue. It should be a conversation with administration. Of course, we should be demanding. If there are some things which are absolutely essential for the well-being of students, we should be demanding them. But in other cases, we should seek for compromises. I'll give an example. For example, in the fall, I was having multiple meetings with the admin about the removing the flag lounge from the Hearst lounge. And unfortunately, at this point, it seems like all the possible resources to get the flags back are exhausted. And this is where we need to take a look at the alternatives. Okay, let's say the administration will not put them back under no circumstances. What's the next step? Can we actually get some other symbols of diversity on campus? And that's the question I have. So, summarizing my response, I would say that communication between students and administration should come in a huge variety of different, in the spectrum from seeking of compromises to actually demanding things. And I think that one thing we should keep in mind is that sometimes the administration, again, I'm sorry to say that it doesn't say no directly, but it says that indirectly, by, let's say, forming a new committee, which will do essentially nothing, right, as we've seen a lot. So I would say that it is essential for us to just be honest with administration, but also hope that they are also honest with us with their action. That's my response to that. Thank you.
If I can tell you one thing, nothing else, it is that the Arnold Abbey campaign bears no shame. Arnold Abbey campaign, and I say Arnold Abbey campaign because it's not me as president or Finn as vice president, but us as a movement. I say this because there's nothing that we will not do on behalf of the student body. Whenever the administration says be reasonable, we say bring us the bubble machine. Whenever the administration says, oh, we're going to print your dead name, that is the name that you were assigned at birth, if you're a trans individual, but I've since changed it. If the university says we're going to put this on all of your documents, we say trans rights, that's stupid, general strike. There's nothing that Arnold Abbey will not do. I say a better question than what will you do relative to the administration is what will you do relative to the student body? Because that is entirely all Arnold Abbey cares about. Sure, we'll communicate with the administration. We'll do what we must. But first and foremost is the student body. That is all I have to say.
sitting in this entire panel of people that has probably talked with administration more times than I can count, more times than other people in SA can count. The relationship I want to have with admin is uncomfortable. The relationship I want to have with admin is going to be hard, it's going to be brutal, in all respect to Dean Burns, but I've already made connections with most members of administration. The moment I get elected into this office, I will go in a meeting with President Mangelsdorf, not be like, hi, how are you? I'll be like, what's up? Because I've already been here, I've already had these conversations, I've been advocating on your behalf ever since the moment I came to this school. And I also want to say one thing, not only am I in SA, but I'm the campus leader, I'm the president of the Asian American Alliance, I've served on all these other boards, I've been engaging with minority communities, I've attended so many protests, I've organized vigils, I've gotten racist professors at this school fired, I've advocated on your behalf to the highest members of administration to make sure that your concerns, your needs, your priorities come before theirs. Because at the end of the day, if administration, and at this point, advocacy is a thankless journey. Okay, I'm not going to be thanked for the work that I do. It's going to be really hard. There are going to be days when I'm going to have to put you before me, and I'm 100% okay with doing that. Because I walked into this role knowing the consequences, knowing that this is what I want to do, this is what I'm passionate about. And I want to keep doing that for all of you. And with administration, the thing is, you just got to keep pressuring them. You got to keep holding them accountable for their actions. You got to keep sending emails. And another thing I want to do is I want to make sure all of you are sitting in those meetings with me. If you have a conflict, if you want to sit there, even just observe, your presence alone is enough pressure for them, and I don't think enough students realize that. You don't have to sit there and be the loudest one in the room. You just sitting there in that Zoom meeting looking at them while I speak, while Sibylla speaks, while any other facet of SA leadership speaks. That is pressure. That is what's needed. Admin deserves no sympathy from us. They only deserve cruelty.
Thank you all for those thoughtful responses. If you have questions that you wrote, feel free to pass them up to the colleague and all of them for us. So the next set of questions is for the tickets, so they won't be addressed to any individual presidential or vice presidential candidate, but to individual tickets. So this first one was submitted by a student online prior to the debate. What do you say to all the people that comment, student government can't actually do anything and anything changes? We're going to start with Boris and
Okay, before you start, would you please rephrase the question, because I think there's a few parts to it, right?
Sure, yeah. So this question was submitted by a student from the student body prior to the debate. What would you say to all the people who comment, student government can't actually do anything or make any changes?
All right, well, answering this question, it should be known that, unfortunately, and that's something I confess for, the student government has bad reputation. It has a reputation of a place which is highly bureaucratic, a place which is very inefficient, and a place which does sometimes, in some cases, nothing but just statements and just public, condemnation, condemning the actions of the others. So I would say that student government has this reputation. That's why over the last year I was working on trying to reform the student government. I was trying to restructure it in such a way, change its very skeleton in such a way that it is actually functioning better and serves the students better. So, unfortunately, that's one of those cases when I have nothing but to acknowledge that it is true. Those students who say that student government doesn't function, they are unfortunately correct. Because in most cases, it doesn't. We have some, I've been senator for more than a year now. I've been on elections and rules committees before. I was deputy, I was many things. I was sitting on multiple committees. But each time it's a struggle. Struggle to go through all the depth, of horrible bureaucracy that admin puts on in, that the student government has in the first place. And yes, sometimes all our efforts, they get diluted by the horrible bureaucracy.
I'm going to be honest, I was probably one of those kids that said SA doesn't do anything. So why am I standing here, right? Because I want to take initiative and actually make sure things happen. That's why I'm on the ticket with Boris. He presented me this huge paper. It was like 20 pages long of what he has been working on for years. And I read through it and I listened to every single word. That is why I'm here, standing here, because I want to make the changes that we will make as a campaign.
Up next, we have Steve.
sympathetic to the concern that student government is not capable of accomplishing anything. But I want to kind of look at it like when your friend says that their car has a top speed of 30. Let's see how fast this baby can go. I mean, if we're not sure if we can do anything, let's set our sights high. Let's not lower prices at Hillside, let's nationalize it. I think all the other candidates, or not all the other candidates, but many candidates will get up here and they'll tell you that there's very little that can be done. It's going to be fight every step of the way. Other candidates promise you nothing, but only Arnold Abbey can deliver you nothing. And that might say.
Yeah. I can hardly say more than the comedic genius friend. No, he's very serious. He's politician. But I tell you, Arnold Abbey is the most transparent campaign that you can find over here. He will promise, he will do nothing. But no, honestly, it's very appropriate to say student government has done nothing for you, because for many students, student government has done nothing for them. Which is why we seek to do so much more than the concept of government could ever provide.
And one more in closing. If you want to win people over with student government doing something, you don't aim for the small stuff. You aim for something big that's unavoidable. You can't ignore it. Like ripping up the Wilson Commons quad and turning it into a community garden. No one will ever say that student government can't do anything when they see that. Thank you.
Up next we have Adria and Simone.
This is a loaded question because SA presents itself as a powerless, bureaucratic organization to most of you. Toxic, doesn't really do much, and that's very true because there's also, like, once you're in SA, you realize that, like for instance, me personally, I'll be in it and I'll be like, oh, I'll be doing a lot of work, right? But there are people around me that aren't putting in nearly as much work as I'm putting in. And so that outlook that you as students get, you're not seeing a collective action sort of problem. You're not seeing collective action solutions to problems. So I think one thing to refocus, if all of you can, and again, SA has done nothing for you as a structure, so why pay it any respect? I 100% get that. But don't look at SA as a governing structure. Look at it as a group of students that collectively want to do something for each other. You don't have to care about SA, you don't have to care about the bureaucracy behind it, but I want you to care about each other. The people sitting next to you, the people that you go to classes with, the strangers that you see in classes, the faculty, staff, and even some members of administration that are here for you. We all are trying to fix this structure. We can't do it unless we're together. I want to quote our last president, President Cosme. He said that we're not a student body, we're not student government, we're a students' union. And I strongly stand by that because at this point it's like, why do we need a bureaucracy? Admin's already bureaucratic. We're just a group of students trying to make change. And I think once we change that mindset, which is something that we want to do, that'll change for all of you too.
To add to that, if you know, I mentioned it in my campaign. I used to be a senator, no longer a senator, so I completely get where you guys are coming from. I'm not saying that as SA doesn't do anything, but honestly, if that's how you feel, I completely understand it. I was sitting in really long meetings thinking, what did I just do for the last 3 hours, to be fully honest with you? So that's why I'm running for this position instead, because I've seen the work that can be done for the position. I've seen the amount of access you get and the work you can do in this way, but I think on top of that, something we want to do is hold ourselves accountable by sharing a newsletter with you guys about the long-term projects that you might not see immediate results on, as well as hold the people who are not us, senators, everyone else in SA accountable to doing things, because I've seen people not do things, and it's really frustrating.
Time.
That's it.
To be honest, I don't think that the Student Association has done all that it can. I think that there is more to offer to the SA, and Matt and I have been part of the Rochester community as we're juniors now, and we will be seniors for 3 years. We know and we can envision an SA where we can really stand out and support all of the students that attend this university. We're two outsiders with outside perspectives on what doesn't work and what works. Over the last 3 years, Matt and I have had countless conversations about different ideas and different approaches we have. So I think it's time that we give an outsider shot and an outsider view, as what we're doing right now clearly does not solve the problem, as senators and students and administration clearly have not shown that SA can really cause for change. So let us approach it from another lens and change it that way.
And to add to that, I would also say, with this outside perspective, we're also coming in with a good understanding of what this job entails and what we're going to have to do. We've had various talks with multiple senators in SA and other people that work in and around that area. So we understand exactly the job that we have to do and what we will be doing day to day. So coming at this with an outside lens, this isn't a naive kind of notion where we're just going to be like, let's make some big change. We understand what we have to do, what we want to do, and the avenues and processes that we're going to take to do it.
Well, again, in response to that question, our next question is a team ticket item. And here is your question. And this is another student question that was submitted prior to the debate. And that question is this. For each ticket, please explain specifically what different qualities, strengths, perspectives, and experiences you bring to the table as opposed to your fellow candidates. And we are going to start with Sage and Finn.
Hey, my name is... No.
Stop silencing his voice.
What's your name? Thank you.
Lovely, thank you. Hello, my name is Finn, F-I-N-N. Glad to be able to clarify that now. I am a person of very little consequence back home, but here you don't know that, which is very lovely. I have a lot of experience in student government, which really doesn't mean anything in high school, so you should ignore that. I also ran for actual government. I ran for state senate as a 16-year-old. All right, hey. Hold your applause. I lost. But I learned a lot about it. I learned a lot about dealing with people who are very supportive and people who are a little bit distasteful. And I'm excited to bring both of those perspectives. And I am going to pass the mic to Sage. Sage.
My name is Sage. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania!
Yeah! Yeah, it's okay. Pittsburgh's awesome. Pittsburgh's so cool. My name is Sage. Yeah, I'm alright. I get the job done.
And next we're going to hear from Adrija and
I feel like this question was made for me. So I'm, as you can see, the only woman of color sitting on this entire panel. I'm a first-generation student. I'm a first-generation Bangladeshi American student. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm a powerful Southern woman. But another thing I wanted to mention, just to take up time on this question as well, but there are communities that are not represented in essays, such as Greek life, our international student community, our athletic community, that haven't been as represented in essays as we want them to be. And as your president, these are communities that I want to represent as well, but since I'm not in Greek life, since I'm not a student athlete, since I'm not an international student, I can't fully represent those communities. But I do know the perspective of being being underrepresented, and that is exactly what I bring to this role. The passion, the drive that I had for advocacy not only comes from my cultural roots, from my personal roots, my roots just talking to all of you, my roots talking to all of you on this campus, talking to administration, taking a different perspective, having these open, uncomfortable conversations is exactly what's driving me for this role, why I'm fit for this role, and I will pass it on to Sarah.
Yeah, I'm not going to try and follow what you're telling me, but that's why I decided to run with you as president. But I think the unique perspective I try to bring is I've been on class council the last 2 years, and I don't know if there's a lot special about me, to be fully honest with you, but I think one of the things I bring is I will talk to everyone, whether you want me to or not. That's kind of my passion, is honestly just going to events and just talking to people and learning about their perspectives, their experiences. So even if I can't represent all of you and I only can bring what I've experienced personally, I would love to hear about everything you've experienced and come to you and hear. If you want to rant for an hour, I'll be there and listen to you rant for an hour, and that's what I want to bring.
Thank you for doing it, Isabella. I just want to remind people that we do have a couple, we're only going to be able to get a couple of questions, but Sam and I are taking a look at the ones that are submitted. So if you want to put yours in for consideration, do so during the next couple of responses, and we'll sort through those. We'll try to get to as many as possible, but our time is limited tonight. So up next, we've got, who do we have? Abhinav and
Hey guys, so I'm gonna start off here, and I would say I definitely agree with what you just said on the varsity sports and Greek life thing. So I am a part, as I said before, on the varsity men's soccer team and in Greek life. So coming with that perspective, I'm here to be able to get more people to join SA, be more active, but also bring the community together as a whole. I do know that the school can be a little bit divisive between different sports groups or like Greek life or the general body, and that's something that I kind of want to help diminish or lower and make the general body more together as a community as a whole.
I'm a first generation immigrant as well. I was born in Patna, Bihar, and I moved to the United States at the age of 6. So I've grown up and I grew up in Philadelphia. But I know what it's like to be the only person of color in a room with white people. And I know how it's like to be a part of an underrepresented community. So I want to be the voice for those people and help give the people in underrepresented communities a voice and empower them to really communicate their ideas.
And Boris and Isabel.
Thank you, Isabel. So, answering this question, so speaking of experiences, I don't even know what to start with, because when I was a freshman, first year student, I wasn't in student government at all. Then I suddenly started jumping from different positions. I was deputy parliamentarian, deputy elections and rules committee chair. I was a senator as a at-large senator, then a class year senator. So God knows how many different roles I had in the last 2 years. But most importantly, I've been just a student. As I just said, as a first year, I wasn't in student government. I was just able to speak to ordinary students, students with no leadership background, like with students who don't come from the leaderships of different clubs or organizations. I was able to just speak. And speaking to just students is what I like about being a student. You can go to Starbucks, be in the line there, and meet some varsity athletes there, or then go to the first lounge, see some other than there, and figure out that it's Greek life organized, and talk to them and their struggles. So I would say that talking to students, being just active as a student, because we are all first and foremost students, that's something that drives me. And if I were to name only one experience, the biggest and most important experience that I have, that's the experience of being not a senator, but a student, and that's what I value the most.
I want to say I am loving how many first-gen Americans we have represent. My family fled Russia because we were Jewish. They told me and they raised me to be a strong, independent woman to fight for what is right. That is my experience when I grew up. That is how I grew up. I went to school for the majority of my educational career as a success story from Brown versus Board of Education. We integrated schools, and I understand my experience is not everyone's experience. I'm here to listen to you, to learn from you, to do better because of you.
Thank you all for your responses to that question. So one more question we got here. So what do you see as one of the strengths of student life on our campus? So we'll start with Adria and Sandra.
What was the question?
What do you see as one of the strengths of student life on our campus?
Yeah, sorry. Every time I try to pull it out, I so I think one of the strengths of student life on campus just comes from how many different student organizations there are on campus and all the amazing events that get put together. And that's why I mentioned I think SH needs to do a better job of attending all of those because there's just so much out there to learn from, to join and celebrate. And yeah, I don't know. That's an end of story. That's the beauty of this campus is just that even if you don't like the University of Rochester or you have your issues with it, you can make your own little home within it and make that community really strong, make those connections within your community, and show that to the rest of the campus.
Just building off of that, I think the biggest thing that I love about the U of R community is how dedicated students are to each other, how willing we are to listen to each other, how active we are in our community, not only just our campus community, but the Rochester community. I have friends that go to the bigger Ivies, Cornell, Yale, and they're always telling me how it's so hard to talk to students around them, how it's just so hard to just engage with members of administration. I think here, at least, as much crap as I give members of administration, at least they will meet with you, they will set up a meeting time with you. You probably not get a lot out of it, but they'll still meet with you. And that's enough, right? That's a starting point. And I think my experience coming into SA as a first year, I had a really biased perspective because the people that I worked with were also people that cared about each other, that cared about making SA a lot better than it currently was. And I think that was the biggest strength that I saw in SA as a student community, just being here at the U of R. And I think going back to what Boris said, being a student here, first and foremost, is probably the best privilege that I've had, and it's going to help me be a leader for all of you, regardless of whether or not I get this role or not. If you don't see me fit for this role, that's fine. I will still be a student leader, very active within this community and the Rochester community, because that's the most important thing for me. For the end of the day, this role will just help me give a little bit more access to the resources needed to do that better for all of you. Thank you.
Up next, we have Abhinav and Matt.
I think we can all agree that we all love clubs. Clubs make the University of Rochester such a great place. How nice is it that you can literally almost do whatever you want on this campus and find a group of people that will join you in that. It is awesome.
Yeah.
And as being students for the last 3 years, we've gotten to experience a lot of clubs and actually held leadership roles on clubs. So we also know some of the challenges that come along with organizing clubs, such as using CCC. I mean, seriously, sometimes it literally takes 7 clicks to go to the next page. So we totally understand the challenges that come with running an organization and club on this campus, and we want to help empower our students to do just that. Another thing is, we have students with great ideas for new organizations. We want to help empower these students as well to also help embark on those ideas and make their ideas a reality.
Yeah, I mean, all I really would add to that is just to emphasize the idea that we want to make this just such a more inclusive community within this university for everyone, and whatever you want to do, meet new people, and just make sure everyone's included with what they want to do and who they want to be.
Next, Boris and Isabel.
There are countless strengths of student life here at the University of Rochester. I think every single person sitting here can agree because we are all sitting here. That is just to be said. And beyond the diversity that I could talk about for eons, as Adria and Isabella have beautifully pointed out, there is something to say about the lack of lines and division between classes. I mean, Boris is the class of 23, I'm the class of 25. It doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter what grade you're in or what classes you have taken. You make friends because you are friends, and it does not matter your age, it does not matter what experience you have. You make friends because you want to, and that is the beauty of student life here. That is the beauty of the lack of lines in any way, shape, or form, whether that is gender, race, ethnicity, or age. That is what makes student life here at the University of Rochester.
Right, very well said, Isabel. I would just add to the question about strengths. I think that we have too many of them. Honestly, that's the reason one of the reasons I joined this university, this college. We have one of the biggest in the East Coast, the percentage of international students, that's a strength. We have a huge number of students who are from Greek life, like 25%, that's also a strength. We also have a lot of varsity, although we are D3 division, right? But it's still something, it means a lot, and that's a strength too. So, speaking of strengths, I think that our diversity, just as Isabel was saying, ethnical, racial diversity, and diversity overall, like which backgrounds we have, where we come from, that diversity, all of it is our biggest strength, that's for sure, that's for sure.
Alrighty. I think the biggest strength of Rochester is a strength shared by many college campuses, which is that it comes at a very special point in your life where you're just smart enough to do some really interesting things, to think of them, and just dumb enough to actually do them. I mean, college is really the last hurrah you get before adult life beats the tar out of you. And being around campus is honestly wonderful for that reason. If I took a sum total of the amount of minutes of my life that I've lost just talking to people trying to get home, it would be enough to actually get my work done on time, probably. I mean, all joking aside, college is very wonderful for a number of reasons. As people mentioned, a number of international students, the sheer number of backgrounds, very close and personal to my friends and a lot of people I know are LGBT issues, the chance that people have to really be themselves when they're out of the house for the first time. That is truly wonderful and truly a great strength of this college campus especially. And Sage, do you have any remarks?
Yeah, speaking of that last point, I don't know if you guys heard, but today's Trans Day of Visibility. Yeah! Right. Arnold Abbey campaign, we love our trans friends, including myself. Can't help but notice, most visibly transgender. Most visibly transgender candidate up here. And that is say, be good to your trans friends, protect your trans friends, and give your trans friends guns.
So we're going to try to get to a couple of audience questions now, and Sam and I have been looking over the questions and trying to compile some. I have this to say about some of them. We've tried to select the questions that are pertinent to all candidates, that all teams can answer. There are some that are directed at individuals. I'm going to remind you of the reception afterwards, where the questions are that's probably a good time to address them with individual candidates. We've also tried to compile a couple of them into one question so we can get at as many issues as possible. So I'm going to start with one of those where I'm going to ask questions. There were a couple about diversity. This thing is going to be about diversity, and we're getting into the nitty-gritty here. So our first audience question is a two-part. One is, how will you advocate specifically for the LGBTQ plus community on campus? And the other is, how will you represent different sides of the people on the different sides of the bill? Okay, people who can't say this word, political spectrum. So politics.
Something since the start of our platform, and something that Matt and I hold very dearly close to us, is having this university be an equitable and fair place for all students. At this university, we have done an okay job with making students feel heard and represented, but we can do so much more. I want to continue giving people from underrepresented communities a platform so they can share about their experiences, because together, that's how we beat and help grow diversity. Allowing people to talk about their experiences, stories, and what makes them unique and different. But our campaign plans to focus on the LGBTQ plus platform, or the LGBTQ plus community, by helping and allowing for us to work with organizations that directly help and empower those orgs, and yeah.
And for the second part of that question, as I've just said, obviously inclusivity and togetherness is such a big part of our campaign. So we don't want to ostracize anyone for their political opinions or anything like that. That's what you said, right? Yeah, good. I wasn't totally sure. But any of your opinions, what you have when it comes to politics, that's not something that we would ever push away from you or try to change for you. It is your right to believe what you believe, and we don't want to change anything in your mind.
Thank you. We've got Boris and Isabel.
All right, well, this question has two parts, so I'll try to be concise to cover everything. So first and foremost is support to LGBTQ plus community. So that should be coming, in my opinion, actually through, firstly, organizational efforts. We should make sure that our structure, as some of you know, all the clubs, including the ones that support the LGBTQ community, they are recognized under student government. So we should be assuring that there is structural support to those clubs and financial, because at the end of the day, it's very difficult to advocate for anything if you just simply don't have even funds just to print flyers, right? Or do other campaigning, which has to do with expenditures. And answering the other question about political spectrum, well, this is how do we unite students of different political spectrum? My answer is easy. We do it by realizing that we are all, first and foremost, students. We are students. Also, in this university, in my opinion, we are very rational. If you make some research, like social media research, students here are rational, they're objective. The things they say are not all of them, but mostly is absolutely a reasonable thing. So we should realize our unity through the understanding that we are all students.
Just to extend upon that last bit, we all made one decision that was the same, and we all ended up at the University of Rochester. That makes us students of the University of Rochester, that makes us students of whatever happens at the University of Rochester, whatever we are responsible for. In that sense, we are united, we are one, and through transparency, through reform, through reparation, that is what Boris and I are trying to aim and to let students know. We will be supporting all of the clubs under SA, and as Boris pointed out, we are students.
And I think I'm going to get money with an exception. I'm going to tell the candidates about a question we got that you should be prepared to answer, all of you, that is pertinent, but we're not going to ask it to you tonight, and that is, will you put Gatorade in the water fountains? We'll get to that afterwards. Up next to answer this question, and just to remind you, the question has to do with different sides of the political spectrum and the LGBTQ community on campus. I'm going to ask Sage and Finn to respond to that.
Hey. First and foremost, let me get a show of hands for all the beautiful, outwardly queer individuals in the audience. Yeah! That's okay. Okay. But I think queer representation comes through embodiment, first and foremost. And what campaign does that more so than Arnold Abbey? I think our showing here tonight, in every regard of its, every facet of its existence, is a gay one. I love the queers. Vote on Robami. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, now I get the non-fun half of the question. We're not talking the question here about both sides of the political spectrum. I think it's fairly obvious that Sage and I come from a fairly left understanding of the political spectrum. I don't know, you can maybe see it in our eyes. I will be honest, I have every intention of inviting everyone from all parts of the political spectrum to participate, but I'm not going to pretend that you can do that without making some tough decisions. And to me, I think what is most important is to protect vulnerable students on our campus. And if you're going to make your politics a politics of division, of questioning people's right to exist, of trying to deny them rights, I don't want to give you equal representation. Because protecting vulnerable populations is absolutely the #1 concern. Hopefully the remainder of the night will be comedic. Thank you.
All right, who we have left? Regent?
So I know you guys can probably tell I'm trying to get more rings, but they're very expensive, but I am queer. Really trying on that one. If you couldn't tell, really trying. Anyway, I do have close personal relationships currently with both people that are in the Pride Network, as well as are in QSOC. If you guys don't know what those organizations are, then maybe try to connect with the queer community a little bit more, but those are 2 great organizations we have on campus. And I want to continue those relations with those people so I can continue to get feedback from them, because obviously I know things I want in my experience, but my experience is not the universal queer one. So I want to keep connecting with them to see, what do you guys need? What do you want to see? What do you see not being done at the university already? In addition to this, I think we need, as someone who's been working with UHS and UCC through my role in campus life, I want to work a little bit more to directly, I was actually looking at this the other day, to be honest. I was looking at UHS's resources specifically for people who are trans, who are questioning, and it directs you to kind of general resources we already have, but nothing specific, and that's something I really want to work on changing in the future. We also just added LifeWorks as an addition to UCC, hoping to maybe see if we can have some things additionally, like specifically leaning towards queer people and supporting them, but still looking into the research on that because we just added it recently. But those are 2 kind of main goals I'd like to have. Passing it off.
I got 30 seconds, but I'm gonna speed. Really quickly, for the political aspect of essay, uncomfortable conversations need to be had. You need a leader in power that is going to keep her political or whatever other beliefs she has separate from your representation, your concerns, your priorities. The thing with essay is that we need to represent y'all better, and that comes with having any and all opinions valid in anything. Whether we have our town halls, whether it's a newsletter, whatever you guys want to say, it's open. We, as your essay leaders, are going to make sure that it's open. And I know there's this whole thing with cancel culture, but, again, sometimes people need to cancel. But in essay, we're going to make sure that none of you feel that way, because all of you have a place. And the end goal is having y'all be heard, and my political views, whatever else me and Sibylla have, that is second to all of your priorities.
Thank you all for your responses to that question. We have another audience question here that we're combining into a single question. So how would you balance increasing services for students and making the University of Rochester experience more affordable? Keep in mind that you would represent a wide range of economic backgrounds in our student body. Many of our students already spend much of their free time working to attend our experiences. And up first is Morris Isabel.
Oh, me first, okay. Well, answering this question, so first and foremost, that's something that student government has been recently working on. Just recently, we had actual conversation during the student government senate about affordability of textbooks. I think we would all agree that textbooks, they are just those, I don't know, like how we would describe it, like $300, $400 for a textbook, $200, like it's huge prices. So definitely one of the biggest focuses will be making sure that the textbooks are at least subsidized in some way. Maybe we won't be able to make them free, which I'm sure some student advocates were trying to do, but at least we'll try to make them more affordable through subsidies. Because at the end of the day, oh my gosh, like we are already paying huge tuition, and still we have to pay like another like hundreds of dollars for textbooks, and it just, I can't comprehend it. Like honestly, it doesn't really go into my mind. And yeah, this is where I would pass to Isabel. Yes.
This is where I'm going to talk about what I'm not supposed to talk about in this lovely website called LibGen. You guys should really check it out. The textbooks are. Also, by increasing resources for first-time Americans, which is a big pillar, we will be looking past the income bracket because that is a huge issue. It is more than just an income bracket that determines how much financial aid a student can get. For instance, I will be honest with y'all, I came into college with no college savings, with no fund, nothing. Because when my parents came here at 35, they were not worried about saving for college, they were worried about the next meal that they were going to have, where they were going to live. With implementing resources for first-time Americans, the university will be forced to look past just an income bracket and will be forced to offer financial aid to students beyond just a specific income bracket.
Thank you. Up next, we got Save Your Fish.
In the Arnold Advocate campaign, we take the issue of socioeconomic equality very, very seriously. And that is why, as one of our policy proposals, we intend to introduce the declining to US dollars feature. That is, so some of our legal advisors say that you can't really do that. Like, you can't really, you know, like, switch it around. We think that's stupid. We think that you should be able to cash out your entire declining plan into actual US dollars if you so desire. That is all.
Thank you. I'd like to touch upon a point that Isabel made that I think was very good. An additional website, the number one, lib.ch. Do not buy textbooks under any circumstances. Additionally, we would like to subsidize the tuition of all non-business students by defunding the business department. Now, don't worry. I understand some of you may be business students. Regrettably, you may have loved ones who are business students. And we will, as part of the plan, offer retraining in the humanities for the business students. We think that that is the best way forward for a peaceful society. Thank you.
Let me get it one more time for the rehabilitation of business majors. Yeah, okay, that's all.
Up next is the 3 minutes rule.
Okay, so to start off with, to be fully honest, if you've already got the email this year, they keep increasing costs anyway. So I think what you have to look at is why should we stop pushing for the necessities we don't already have them then? Because if we're going to keep increasing costs in some way, shape, or form, and that's just a decision that's going to get made, then we need to look at, okay, what do we not have that we should be theoretically already paying for? So as someone that lives in Hillcourt currently is an RA, we have one water fountain. So I want to look at why do we not have more water then? That's just one simple example of we're already paying for it, so we need to make sure that that's getting used for us. I also want to look at kind of where the budgets are for things. So if we can look at where the money's being spent, what's coming in, especially one of the departments I've been working a lot with is care. I've been looking at kind of what their numbers, what their incoming caseload has been looking like. And I think if you can work with departments to see what they need and how they feel understaffed or undersupported, and you can get stats from them to show the hard work that they are doing, then you can use that to push for them to get more.
This first of all, is a loaded question. And I think it's a question that goes beyond essay, because with budgeting, especially when it comes to our costs, I came to this school on a full ride, right? That's what they promised me, and I still have to pay out-of-pocket money every year. It's been going up ever since I've gotten here, and I'm sort of just stuck now. So I 100% understand the struggles. But I think it would be irresponsible of me to say that as your essay president, I'm going to decrease your costs. My main priority is, of course, increasing services and making sure that I keep pressuring admin to decrease those costs, but I can't assure you that that's what's going to happen. But I can assure you that Sibylla and I are going to keep advocating for you on pressuring those costs and making sure that those costs are lowered in any way that we can. But it would be irresponsible of me to stand here, and say that's our main goal, like that's what we're going to get accomplished, because we are powerless in a sense, right? But we aren't powerless in our voices and what we can advocate for y'all, and so that is our main concern.
So for this one, we have a couple things we want to say. First off, we want to get ask the administration for a more specific breakdown of the actual costs and payments that they do for our tuition, so we can know where they're allocating what we're paying for this university, so we can see if that is something that we should change or maybe differ to help the betterment of the students. The other thing that we want to say is for grant research, encouraging professors to encourage more grant research and let students be able to develop their careers and further their studies to be able to be more successful in the future.
Yeah, and adding on to what Matt said, we want to redistribute the money that goes to public health, or not public health, public safety, not public health matters, but public safety, and reform and relook at the way we're spending money on public safety and see if we can really apply that and use some of that money to help better student life.
Alrighty, thank you all for your responsiveness. That brings to a close our audience questions tonight. We now have rapid fire questions. That's something we're going to give each candidate 15 seconds to respond to each of these short rapid fire questions. How we're going to do this, we're going to start at one end of the line of candidates. Every candidate is going to have 15 seconds to respond and go down the line. Then for the next question, we're going to the second person and move through just like that. Okay? So the first question is Sibylla, and then we'll continue on to my left. Sibylla, what is your favorite place to study on campus?
Outside when it's actually nice out.
Okay, we're done, Gleason.
The main office.
Honestly, Carlson Library, because it's kind of quiet and tranquil, and I would really enjoy it for this reason.
I like to study in the D level of the SACS, however that won't happen for much longer because we intend on converting that to the sex section of the library.
In the middle of the Genesee, and that's where I intend to study in the future. God bless.
It used to be Greasy Gleason, but Gleason got a really good renovation and it's no longer greasy.
I like going and burying myself in 400 stacks.
Okay, so we're going to start with the three, we're going to go all the way down, and Sibylla, you're going to be last. All right? You ready? It's still not working?
You can just yell at us.
Yell at. You can yell. Project your voices. Show yourselves as leaders, right? It's another test. So, Adrija first. Defoe, Dougie, or Wilco?
Dougie, Alfredo pasta and tater tots. Defoe, desserts on Sundays. Wilco's not going to get a mission break.
Wilco, just because it has all the decent veggie options, and Starbucks.
None of this. Oh, Wilco. Yes, it is. All right, go ahead. Sorry about that. It's my fault.
All right, well, I would say that it's very convenient to go to Douglas because it's very close to everything. But in terms of the food, I would rather go to Defoe. I think it has better food and more vegetarian options.
Okay.
As my good friends will attest, I don't go to dining halls. Instead, every day I eat a loaf of cinnamon swirl raisin bread, which I legally acquire from Hillside.
All right, don't tell anybody I told you this, but those little decorational vegetables they have in the dining halls, I've heard you can take those and cook a meal for yourself. It's fresh, it's tasty, it's home cooked. I recommend that over everything.
It used to be Grubhub, but now it's the bit.
Honestly, none of them.
Consulting Depot on a good day, but like realistically speaking, it's usually the pit like right before it closes because I'm working on something.
All right, good.
All right, this one started with Isabel, favorite show to binge watch?
NCIS probably.
Favorite what? Show? Oh my gosh, I don't have that much. Sorry.
I watch every single episode of Seinfeld every day.
All right, call me a sucker for tradition, but I'm all about Russian dash cam footage.
I would say, okay, I'm gonna get a lot of hate from this room, but the show I always come back to is The Big Bang Theory, so.
I don't know if you guys know the show Psych. That's my favorite show of all time.
Realistically, Parks and Rec, but then Netflix took that away from me, which.
Boo!
Yeah, exactly. I was upset about that too. Honestly, man, I've been watching Criminal Minds religiously, which is like kind of concerning, but very good.
Okay, so mine's embarrassing. I'm a huge reality TV person, so The Bachelor and Bachelorette are like my shows. But since I'm a cultured woman, Bollywood is also my
Oh, did you start? Oh, yes. We're starting with Boris. Okay, Boris, the class you took that most surprised you.
The class I took that most surprised me. I think that's formal logic back in my first year because it was just, I don't know, I never thought of logic as something that you can mix with math, and I hate math and I like logic, so that was just a disaster. Combine those, so, oh no.
I took a class in first semester called Insurrectionary Marxism. The teacher's now fleed the United States and was wanted by the CIA.
I don't know if this counts, but when I was in second grade, I learned that if you multiply something by 0, it's still 0, and that surprised me.
So, like Boris, I took a class called Discrete Math my first semester here at college. I didn't know there were that many letters in the Greek alphabet, to be completely honest, but yeah.
I took a class, it was Philosophy of Death. It was once a week, 2 hours and 40 minutes, with 8 people, purely discussion-based, talking about death the entire time.
Surprised me was that I'm no longer a neuroscience major. That was a big surprise.
This is also really embarrassing for me because I feel like I haven't learned anything in my classes. But I am taking an environmental science seminar class right now, and I'm not an environmental science person, but all I do is I bring it back to politics in every discussion, so it works for me.
Probably, and you guys are going to be shocked at this, my intro to debate class, but not because I enjoyed the class, but because I enjoyed debating and I hated the class.
Alright, you'll start us off with this one. So, favorite campus animal?
I would like to say I'm a really big fan of Quad Fox. Regular choice, very normal choice. However, Quad Fox is candidate which has, as many know, Quad Fox brand companies. Quad Fox is candidate which most closely aligns with my own political beliefs.
I'm a love, I don't have anything fun here. I love Quad Fox. I love it with all my heart, and that is my favorite campus animal.
So, I get to occasionally see this beautiful creature, Cora, I love you.
Cora is one of our friend's dogs, to clarify.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, I guess maybe the groundhog or
I'll say my least favorite is Yellow Jackets. However, URB specifically as like an old mascot, he's
All right, that's for me. I don't know. When you say favorite and animal, first thing that comes to mind is the party animals I see on the Greek quad every Friday.
Party animal?
But other than that, I think it's yellow jackets. The thing is, people don't like them because they annoy when we eat food. But I think they're just so deeply became a symbol of us. That's why I like them.
Okay. All right, Finn, you're up first, next. And your question is your favorite UR giveaway item that you've received.
Literally, the only giveaway item I can think of is that I got a towel from you like last week. So I guess a towel. I use it. It's nice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I also share that sentiment. I don't think I've received anything. I do like the Field of State shirts. I think those look cool, but that's not it.
I was gonna say Field of State shirts, they're pretty dope. I like them.
Someone in class council, I will say, the majority of the merch in the school is like a little bit ugly, but I'm repping SAA with this one. Everything my SAA does, they have tote bags, they have sweatshirts, they're all cute, and I highly recommend if you're paying attention to any giveaways, pay attention to SAA. That's my tip.
Someone say
No, I'm glad you're asking this question, because like, what has this school given me? I have no idea what this school has
Do you
given
want
me.
a towel?
I got one shirt, like, for my freshman year, and it was like, you know, the class.
The two tote bags that we got during welcoming, those were kind of cute.
Honestly, I don't remember any giveaways like me getting anything from like the school in terms of clothing. I don't remember that. Some designs are cool, but honestly, maybe some shirts, but no, I don't remember that.
$2,000 of free souvenirs from Hillside.
This time, favorite card or board game?
Ooh, I'm a big sucker for Operation.
I don't know if you guys know the card game Egyptian Rats. I am literally unbeatable. Play me anytime, I will smoke you.
After open challenge.
Open challenge, literally.
I grew up in Egyptian Records, my dad has the board game night like once a month, so it's too many. But I will say, the game called Cubis, no one knows what this is, but I get real, I get so competitive over Cubis. I will fight someone, I will throw you to the floor. Such a good game. If you know what I play. QBITZ, like Cubis, is like with your friends, please. Do the invites, it's great.
I actually didn't play a lot of board games right now, but I still to this day don't know how to play Monopoly, but I love playing Monopoly with people that take it seriously, because I don't know how to play it. And watching them get mad over Monopoly is hilarious.
Card game, you'll probably need it now. If you guys don't know what that is, essentially. The only rule is you don't accept the rules of the game. Board game, probably Carcassonne.
Has he ever won any? Yeah, that's true.
I don't know, as for the board game, I think I would agree with the Bridge and Monopoly. And the only reason I like it is I don't know, I think it improves your thinking process when you strategic thinking.
Every Wednesday at 3 a.m. I play a game of chess with Sarah Manglesdorf, in which I wager my soul in return for lower tuition.
I'm gonna level this may reduce our potential voters to like 5. I really like Magic the Gathering.
All right, last round. We're going to start with you, Matt. Your favorite campus tradition?
I honestly did not. Oh, candlelight ceremony. That's a good.
Speaking of some from the sophomore class where we did nothing our freshman year, I'm gonna have to say, I feel like, okay, winter fest we on the topic, but that was the first one that I got to participate in. That was actually fun as a freshman, so that was my thing.
Now, this is another question I'm glad you asked. That was one of their show as well. That I would also say the candlelight ceremony. I had to do it over Zoom because I was remote my first semester, but it's still my favorite and I still want to do it. So hopefully next year I'll join the freshman.
Yeah.
don't have time for those.
Did you see Pete?
As someone said among the audience, D-Day. Absolutely D-Day. That's the way we wait the entire year, and that's the only one we wait for so vigorous. Yes, that's for
sure. Fight Club in the Spurrier Gym.
Sage wasn't saying that as like a reminiscence. That's a proposition for later. My favorite tradition, I don't know if others share this. I live in Lovejoy, which is next to Fraternity Road. My favorite campus tradition is watching drunk people come home at night.
I'm a big fan of Mel Weekend. I love seeing the older alums come, but also the younger alums from 1, 2, 3 years ago. Yeah.
All right. So, we have come to an end. We have just a couple minutes over. I want to do a couple things right now. First, you know, the person behind the scenes, Garrett's been sitting up here all night long. Keeping us on track. I have had fewer candidates and go longer. So Garrett, you've done a wonderful job. I also want to thank all the candidates. It's a nerve-wracking experience. I hope you had a good time. Sage and Finn, I'm sure you did. But all of you, I hope you had a good time. I hope you got some points across. Please remember to stick around in the reception. I'm sure the students have questions for you that they submitted. Please remember, in addition to the refreshments that will be served, voting will begin on Tuesday, April 6th at 10 a.m. and it will end on April 7th at 11:59 p.m. Expect unofficial results of voting on April 8th. Voting will take place on CCC. So I want to thank the organizers of this event. All Sam and I did was read all the questions you all submitted to the candidates. It was a lot of fun being here. Thank you all for coming, and please join us for some reception.
Of course, go dinner and